Welcome everyone to the latest Coffee Break webinar by RIB CostX. My name is Francesca Nottingham and I am a CostX consultant in RIB software. As you can see on screen, this month's topic is subcontractor comparisons, so we'll have a look at the process of how to complete this within the software. For those of you who don't know what CostX is, or for those who have never used it, CostX is a fully integrated measuring and estimating solution with universal applications, supporting everything from hand-drawn sketches to PDFs, DWGs, all the way through to 3D models, BIM files, and everything in between. As we can see from this matrix, RIB CostX is available in a variety of licenses, ranging from offering all functionality to a fairly limited option, depending on your estimating requirements. Delving deeper into each functionality, let's look at the components, breaking down how each of them are cohesive with one another, bringing you an all-in-one service. You have your takeoff options to start with, whether you're using 3D BIM or 2D drawings. CostX provides accurate data, enabling you to utilise this data within your workbook. So our workbooks are just like Excel spreadsheets, but they are our own version. They still have the ability to use formulas and functions, making them very easy to navigate and use. We then have revisions tracking. Now this offers an accurate method of comparing a previous revision with a new one, giving you multiple ways to highlight, identify and quantify any changes, meaning you're always up to date with the latest cost implications. Once you've completed your estimate, you then have the opportunity to produce a report. Now we offer various standard report templates for you to use. Alternatively, you can customise your own report, producing a professional quality output. Don't forget to check out the RIB CostX YouTube channel where we upload our coffee break webinars, and you can also subscribe so you can get notified of the latest videos and kept up to date with the newest features and how-to tips and tricks. So this month's webinar, as previously mentioned, we'll be reviewing subcontractor comparisons. Firstly, let's talk about CostX's capabilities. So from the first point of receiving the bill to bringing in prices to compare, CostX can generate a specific workbook to assist you in completing this task, making it easier when looking at tenders side by side. And yes, it can be concluded from start to finish. You don't need input from other applications like Excel, for example. It can all be done within the system, making it effective, having it all in one place to create the best decision making. Topics explored in this webinar: how to manage subcontractor profile database in the system, how to generate a subcontractor workbook, report generation and analysis, completing a bill with new rates received from subcontractors. So let's take a look at subcontractor comparisons. So let's start with a few of the administrative bits that you need in order to do a subcontractor comparison. So in your system administration, so if you go to your home tab and on the far right you go to system administration, you go down the list, you have a subcontractors option. So I'm just going to click on this. So what we've got here is basically a list or a database of all the different subcontractors and their associated trades in this folder. So this can be actually imported if you've got this on a separate external database in Excel, for example. You can actually import it via CSV. Alternatively, you can just insert new subcontractors in the system and manage it within CostX. Alternatively. So just to take a look at these, I've got a couple for concrete, a couple for formwork, and a couple for reinforcement. So they're basically just profiles of the subcontractors who I want to go out to. When you've got your entire list in here, you might have hundreds of different subcontractors, which might be dependent on area, for example, and you don't necessarily want to go to each of them each time, then that's fine. You just cherry pick from the list exactly which ones you want to go to. So if I just go into A1 concrete, for example, I'm just going to edit this one, and so you can see the type of information that you need to input to create the profile for the subcontractor. So the subcontractor properties window has opened. There's a few tabs here and we'll go through them. So in the properties, you just give them their name. So this is ideally their company name. You can allocate a short name as well, just to make it easier if you've got quite a few to compare. You might have quite a large sheet. It might just be easier if you've got a short name. You can have a code associated with it as well. So this is this can be anything. This can be linked or associated with maybe some accounting software that you have, and it can match that, or it can just be your own internal code. Doesn't have to be anything sort of specific. It can be what you need it to be. Contact name, simply just the contact name of your main contact at the company and their position. You can also input their contact details as well. If I head to the details tab, so you can actually input even further information if you want to. This might be useful for accounting purposes. Then you've got the trades tab. Now you can insert more than one trade. So for example, if you have a company who does groundworks and block work, for example, you can assign 2 trades to them, and then they can be available for either of those trades once you're in your comparison. Now this little tick box here is important. So this actually means that if I generate a subcontractor comparison with a concrete trade and CostX recognises it as a concrete trade, then A1 Concrete are going to be pulled through as a subcontractor that I'm going to send a tender to automatically. Okay, so if you don't want that, which I probably suggest you don't, because like I said earlier, you're probably going to have hundreds of different subcontractors. You're not going to want to go to the same ones each time necessarily, so you'd untick this so that it wouldn't be included. This one I am going to leave as included, and you'll see what happens when you leave that included. So I'll just press cancel. You can also switch between views, so you can have a trade view if you like, so I can see everyone in my concrete, formwork and reinforcement. Or alternatively you can have the view we just had, which is the subcontractors' profiles themselves. So I'll just close this and we'll have a look and see what we've got here. Now we've got a very simple example here, just a very quick example. If I go to the dimension view, I've only got one drawing. If I expand these, I've only got one dimension group with some data in it. And this is actually used in my workbook. So I'm going to head to my workbook now, and I've got a client bill. Let's just open this. Very simple bill, only on one level, just divided up with headings. Now you'll notice I've got one of my live links here. This is from my dimension group. All the rest are hard typed, as well as the rates are hard typed. And then I've got my totals being calculated for me. Now you might notice I've used my first user column here. So I've actually got a code in this column. So a trade code, so anything related to concrete is con. If I scroll down, anything related to formwork is for, and anything in relation to reinforcement is rio. Now there's a couple here that need populating, so I'm simply just going to pull this down, press Ctrl D to duplicate, and then that fills that in for me. Okay, so very simple workbook. I'm now actually going to sort this into trades. So using what I know from my coding and sorting training, I'm going to head to my workbooks, generate a workbook group by code. I'm going to call this trade sort. Now this step is important. You must do this before you generate a subcontractor comparison workbook. Okay, so subsheets to sort, it's just cost sheets. We've only got cost sheet there. I didn't go down any levels on my rate sheets or my quantity sheets. Summary calculation is none. My code library is just my subcontractor comparison training codes, which is in my trade column there. So I'll press OK. This then generates a trade sort. So I've now got my 3 trades. Everything in concrete is underneath here. And the same is for my formwork and reinforcement. So I've just generated a 2-level workbook from that first one. So information's identical. You can obviously see the values are the same. So from here, I can now actually create a subcontractor workbook. Okay, so I'm going to go to my add button again. And then you've got the 4th option here. So generate subcontractor workbook. If you click on this, you've got the option to name it. It's automatically named this for me and I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to leave it. You can also select which trades you want to include. So you might not want to do a comparison for all of them, in which case you can untick them. I will just leave them all as included. And then down here we've got some allowance column names. Now these are, you automatically have 3 allowance columns. You can name these whatever you want to. I've just named them margin, adjustment and contingencies, but they can be called whatever you need them to be called. So press OK when you're happy with all of those properties. Okay, so a new workbook is created. This one's got a 0 value, and that is because we need to input the rates in here. So looks slightly different to normal, but it is still a 2-level workbook. If I go down into concrete, you can see it's gone down into my detail. Let's just go back up to level 1 and just take a look around. So anything in blue I can't edit. That is a protected cell and I don't need to input information in there. There is opportunity from row 4 onwards to input any addendums. So if there's any information like exclusions or clarifications, for example, you can do that in here. You can even insert rows by right-clicking and adding more if you need to. Okay, in terms of columns, the first 8 are like normal, so you can't change these. These next 3 are the allowance columns, so obviously I called them margin adjustments and contingencies. That's been carried forward, and any margins or any markups or anything of the sort that I put in information on level 2, that will total up into here. Okay, I'm going to scroll along a little bit more and we'll see a few more new columns. So we've got preferred name, preferred total, preferred including any allowances. So that is when you have selected, you've internally agreed who your preferred subcontractor is going to be. They will be posted here. So when you're on level 1, you can have a quick snapshot as to who has won that subcontract. CostX will automatically identify who the lowest is. To be honest, obviously there's scenarios where the lowest isn't always the best, but CostX will just automatically identify who is the lowest, just to make that identification easier for you as well. Now this is where that include tick option comes into its own. So we've got 10, I believe. Yep, up to 10 different subcontractors that we can compare. I scroll back. Okay, on my A1 concrete and my C4 concrete, I have those in my subcontractor profile database, and I have them included. So because I've pulled through a concrete trade, CostX knows to pull these 2 forward. Okay, and if I had any more, they would automatically be populated along here. It's alphabetical, so it will just put anything in alphabetical order. Same with my formwork guys and my reinforcement guys as well. Now, if you have not had something included, then you can easily add it afterwards. So you just right-click into an empty cell, so subcontractor 3, you just go to trade properties, and anyone that's associated with your concrete trade, then you just select those. Obviously I only have 2, but if you had more, then you could add another one in, for example. You would just select from your list. Okay. So if I head down to level 2 on my concrete trade, we're just going to be looking at this one today just for ease. Now we've got our estimate rates in here. So they are currently being pulled forward into the lowest because obviously they're the only ones to compare to. So CostX is identified as the lowest. Then we've got the opportunity to input our A1 concrete rate or our C4 concrete rate. Okay, so to get information out to your subcontractor, you've got a couple of different options. So if I go back up to level 1, click on my concrete trade anywhere along this row, and I have 2 different options. So I've got export to Excel. So this will simply just create a Excel spreadsheet This can be sent via an email to your subcontractor and they can populate it with their rates, send it back to you, and then it's just a case of copying and pasting that information from Excel into CostX. We also have another option, so we've got export tender. Now this will create a EXF file, so the end user will need to have access to our CostX viewer application, which is free to anybody. They don't need to have a CostX license. They just need to download it from our website. And you can select what they can see. So I'm just going to include the concrete trade. You can select whether they see the drawings and dimension groups, and you can also either provide the quantities or not. If you want them to do a remeasure, then you would leave this blank, and they can obviously input their own quantities. I'm going to leave mine in, so I'm going to press OK. It's going to ask me where to save it. I'm simply just going to dump it on my desktop for now. I'll leave it as this, so Subcontractor 1 initial. Okay, and then you just go into your File Explorer, go to your desktop, and then you just need to find what you just saved. So Subcontractor 1 initial. Can you see it's opening up the CostX viewer now? So this will pull through the drawings and the workbook, and the subcontractor just needs to input their rates, and then I can populate it back into CostX. Okay, so I'm just going to go into my dimension view. They've got access to this drawing. You can see a little padlock here, so they can't actually do anything on this drawing. They can just see how you've measured it. So concrete slab, I can see exactly what's been measured, so that's fine. I'm going to go to my workbook now, go down to level 2, and as you can see, I can only change anything in the white cells, okay? So I'm just going to simply start typing stuff in. Please ignore these rates. I'm not basing them on anything. I'm simply just getting some information down just to show you how to input this back in. Okay, once they've filled that in, they can actually add notes if they want to. So if something was in abeyance, for example, if this option was in abeyance, or if it had a provisional sum, I can come up here and select add note and just say prov sum. Press OK. Okay, and then I'm just going to save the quote. My company name is A1 Concrete. Quote reference, I'm just going to put today's date. And then the quote date they can select from a calendar. Save it to their desktop. Okay, come out of here, then go back into CostX, and what I can do is come along to A1 Concrete, and then I can select import quote, go to where it's saved. Okay, it's just double checking that's the right trade that I want it allocated to, so I'll press OK. As you can see, it's now populated that information. So it's identified A1 Concrete as the lowest, it's only 74,000. If I go across, my estimate was 80. If I go down into the next level, you can see along A1 Concrete, it's brought in those rates. Not only that, it's also brought in the note that was put into that first item, so I can view notes. I can see that it is a prov sum. Okay, again, I can scroll to the bottom and add any addendums down here. I could add in some exclusions or clarifications, T's and C's, whatever I needed to. Okay, let's just say you've got a subcontractor who just doesn't have the time to price, but they really want the opportunity to tender. That's absolutely fine. So let's say C4 Concrete is in that scenario. What you can do is you can actually fill to a lump sum. So C4 Concrete said, really sorry, not enough time to do this, but I will do it for 76. £1,000. Okay. You actually have the option here to select the status of this, so whether it's an estimate, other, plug or quote. I'm actually going to put it as a quote because even though they didn't do the rates separately, it's still a quote that I got from them, so I'm going to press OK. Okay, and what this has done is if I double click into this, is it's actually prorated the rates for me. Okay, so I haven't had to enter those in individually, it's just automatically done that for me based on that lump sum. Now there are some other options to fill, so if for example A1 Concrete didn't provide the ground slab, so this item for example, I can actually fill this from different options. So I could fill it from my estimate, I could fill it from C4 Concrete, or I could say included, excluded or NA. If I filled it from the estimate, then you can see it's blue, so these are the colour codes. Anything in green is a quote, anything in blue is an estimate, anything in purple is plugged, and anything in orange is other. So let's say C4 Concrete also didn't do this. We will just say it's excluded, and then it's green because that was part of their quote. If I deleted this and then plugged it from A1 Concrete, for example, I can either save that as other or I can plug it. Again, it changes colour depending on what you need. Okay. So I'm going to go back up to level 1. And you can see there's a bit of colour coding here. So C4 Concrete is now the lowest. And you've got a green bar with a little bit of purple there. You've got A1 Concrete, which is partly green, partly blue. And that is as a result of these colour-coded items here. Okay, if you wanted to make someone your preferred, so C4 Concrete obviously missed something. Not happy with that quote, although they're the lowest, I obviously want all the work done, so I'm going to award it to A1 Concrete. Let's say I make them my preferred. They now go bold and that moves into my preferred column as well. Okay, if I go down into the next level, again, you can use these allowance columns. So margin, let's say, or if there was some adjustments, sorry, I know that A1 Concrete perhaps haven't allowed for something, so I'm going to allow another £500. Okay, if I come back up to level 1, you can see I've got my adjustments there. If I come across, you can see I've got my preferred allowance, my preferred subcontractor, which is now including the allowance. Okay, so if you wanted to generate a report, we've actually got some standard reports available to you. If I just go into our standard reports, let's just say you want an analysis or a summary, then you can choose any of these. Let's go for the analysis here. I'll just generate this. And there you can see I've got my risk and opportunity, my plug and estimate percentages, and who my preferred subcontractor is. Obviously, I've not filled out the other information for my trades, but they would be there if they were populated as well. Okay, so to get this back to its original state, so its original bill, all you need to do is just add or generate a standard workbook from Subcontractor Comparison. So trade sort with rates. Okay, so that's brought it back into this scenario. So my A1 Concrete, here we go, they've been selected, their rates have been input into here. And if I want to bring it back to my bill, I just simply go to my add button and revert to source format. Okay, so I've now got my 1 level bill, which is now including the rates from A1 Concrete, and all the others will be blank because obviously I hadn't completed those. So you can actually compare up to 10 subcontractors per trade. You can have as many trades as you want to, yeah, you can get it back to its original state, ready to send out. Okay, hopefully you found this helpful and you can see the capabilities CostX has with subcontractor comparisons. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to know any more month to month, we do these coffee break webinars every month, and you can hit subscribe so that you get notified of when we release those. Thank you for listening.